Today we are going to take a deep dive into an example case study of a couple who is looking to retire in just 3 short years. They want to know what they could expect in retirement. So let's dive into it. Jack and Jill have been grinding away day to day and haven't had the chance to take a breather and see what retirement may look like for them. They had 3 questions. When can we retire? And if we can retire, is it too ambitious to try and retire in the next 3 years? What will our income look like? And finally, how much money can we actually spend in retirement? Well, in today's video, we're going to discuss all of this and more. Overall, there is a lot that goes into retirement planning, but this video should help sum it up. So before we dive in, let me introduce myself. My name is Zach Carruthers, and I'm a financial advisor. And my goal on this channel is to empower individuals like yourself to embrace financial confidence and unlock the path to a life truly well lived. Alrighty, so let's get into it. One thing I want to note before we dive in is please note that this entire case study is an example case study. The names are made up, the numbers are made up. This is just to provide context around what might a portfolio value of $2 million look like if you plan on retiring at the age of 62. Another thing to consider for the sake of this example is it's different for everyone. There's factors like income expenses, travel expenses, healthcare expenses that kick in, and so much more. So it really is unique and individual to you. So as you can see here on the screen, Jack is 59 and Jill is 56. Jack is wanting to retire at the age of 62 and Jill is wanting to retire at the same time at the age of 59. Currently, they live on $8,000 per month, and so they want to see if they can live on $8,000 per month in retirement. We are going to assume the annual retirement health costs here until Medicare does kick in at the age of 65. Jack makes $165,000 and Jill makes $100,000. They both plan on collecting Social Security at their full retirement age. So keep in mind, this will be at different times. For Jack, he can plan on about $4,200 per month, and Jill can plan on about $3,800 per month, again, at full retirement age. As we said, Jack and Jill do live on $8,000, which is where we got that goal of living on $8,000 in retirement. We are assuming no additional travel expenses or long-term care costs for the sake of this example. So now let's go to their net worth. Jack and Jill actually have a total net worth of $3 million, but we kept their bank information as well as their property information out of this example. So looking at their investments, they have $2 million. Jack has a 401k with $500,000. They have a joint taxable account with $500,000. Jack's Roth IRA is $415,000. Jill's Roth IRA is $335,000, and Jill also has a traditional IRA with $250,000. So let's look at their cash flows, and let's look at their cash inflows and cash outflows. We are looking at the proposed plan. The proposed plan assumes that Jack and Jill retire today. As we can see here, from year 2024, which is when they're 59, 56, until 2031, they're going to have $0 in income inflows. Therefore, they are relying on their investments as income. Social Security for Jack finally kicks in 2032 when he's 67. And then when Jill turns 67, full retirement age, in 2035, her Social Security kicks in, which just about doubles their benefit, as you can see here. Now let's assume that Jack and Jill elect to work for another 3 years. Well, as you can see here, they will have their combined salary for 3 years until 2026, where they will have $0 in income inflows from 2027 to 2031, and then Social Security again kicks in. If we look at a quick analysis and run a comparison on what is the difference if they retire at the age of 59 versus 62 and 56 versus 59, assuming the same retirement monthly expense. Well, as we can see here, big picture, while yes, $1 million seems like a lot, it's not going to be that much different for them. The reason I say this is they don't have a big legacy plan. Rather, their goal is to donate whatever they have left to charity. They made it a priority that, hey, we want to live retirement to the fullest, hence why they want to carry that $8,000 pre-retirement living expense into retirement, and maybe more. So looking at Jack and Jill's situation, I look at this and I also look at their withdrawal rate and I say, hey, Jack and Jill, you guys are in a pretty good spot. Sure, for the first couple years of retirement, your withdrawal rate may seem a little high, but then we see immediately once Social Security kicks in, the withdrawal rate here is pretty low. You're talking sub 2%. And again, this is all in today's dollars. Well, Jack and Jill, what if you guys want to retire at the age of 59, 56, but you say, hey, we want to spend an additional $1,000. Maybe we want to travel, get into a new hobby, whatever it may be. Looking at this comparison, they're still in a pretty good spot. Sure, the proposed plan has $2.5 million less than if they were to work and retire at 62 and 59 and spend $1,000 per month less, but we see here that they still have $4.4 million. Now, one thing that's important is this is assuming a current allocation. For the sake of Jack and Jill, the current allocation is growth in income, which is assuming 8.9% per year. Well, if they get unlucky in retirement and let's say the market isn't performing, we want to make sure that we account for that in both the comparison as well as their withdrawal strategy. So let's assume that the market is conservative. That is about 5.9%. Well, if I run that, you can see here that sure, they're going to be $5.8 million less because, again, the current allocation is growth in income, and they're also working 3 more years and spending $1,000 less per month. But I see here that they still have $1 million at the end of the plan. So going into the retirement details and looking at the withdrawal rate here, I can see here that, yeah, this is a little high, especially early on in retirement because they're relying on their investments so much. So yes, while this is high, it is temporary, and then they do drop below, a 4% withdrawal rate until the very end of life where they start taking out a little bit more money. So in this case, say, hey, if we have a conservative asset allocation, this might be on the fence in terms of if you're actually able to rely on your investments. So let's run it assuming that they spend $8,000 in retirement. Well, as we can see here, this chart from a withdrawal rate perspective looks much better. Sure, it's a little bit high temporarily early on, but as soon as they're both able to collect Social Security, we see here that their withdrawal rate is sub 3% through the end of the plan. If we go back and look at this compared to the $9,000 that we had elected to spend previously, we can see here that while yes, it's still $5 million less, it's still $1.8 million. So let's go back to the cash flows and let's just break down what, again, our cash inflow and cash outflows are. We want to make sure that we highlight these expenses. These living expenses are $8,000 per month or $96,000 per year. Using the proposed plan, which again assumes they retire today, we can assume that they both spend about $6,000 per year for a total of $12,184 on healthcare for a total expense of $108,000 here. Well, we also need to factor in tax payments. As we can see, their tax payment for 2024 is $12,712, so their total outflow is $120,000. We can also look at these and assume, hey, for 8+ years, we are going to need at least $120,000 for the first couple of years, and then it's actually going to go up to about $150,000 right before they start collecting Social Security. If we look at the current plan, obviously their tax bill does go up because they're working for 3 years, but we can also see that they're putting more money away and their total inflows obviously outweigh their total outflows. So they have spend from unsafe cash flows of $75,000, $78,000, and $70,000 before they start tapping in to their investments because of the loss of income after 3 years until Social Security kicks in. If we take this example and again look at the comparison, this will shine light on what we can expect. So here we go here. At the end, we will have that $6.9 million. Now let's say Jack and Jill look at me and say, hey, Zach, what happens if we retire at 59 and 56? We want to spend $10,000. And we assume that the current allocation is growth with income at about 8.9%. Well, what I'll tell them is, hey, look, guys, this probably is something that you could do. Sure, you have $3.8 million less than if you worked till 62 and 59 and spent $8,000, but you still have $3.1 million at the end of the plan. Looking at our withdrawal rate, sure, we have a pretty high withdrawal rate until the age of approximately 70, but then as you see here, we're at sub 3%. Well, let's assume that we have a conservative asset allocation in case we get some market volatility. Yeah, this is a hockey stick. Looking back at the comparison, this is starting to get a little scary. We have $280,000. What this is telling me is, hey guys, if you're looking to retire at 59 and 56 and spend $10,000 in retirement, maybe you can find a part-time job and make $20,000. Let's see what this does. $468,000. If we go to the retirement details, look at the withdrawal rate, this is still concerning. As we can see here, we don't want them to run the risk of running out of money if they're withdrawing 8+% for several years, even though it is temporary. So what I would say here is, hey guys, even with your $20,000 in part-time income in retirement, $10,000 might be a stretch. So what if we opt to work maybe another 2 years? Looking at the comparison here, assuming a conservative asset allocation, we can see that we have $1.2 million left at the end of the plan. Looking at our retirement details, while yes, they are somewhat elevated, we maintain a sub 5% withdrawal rate through the end of the plan. So going back to this Monte Carlo simulation, something to keep in mind here is lots of people get fixated on the percent or probability of success. Instead, you should really be looking at this as a, hey, this isn't a 75% success rate necessarily. Rather, this is assuming that 75% of the time the plan's gonna work itself out, and 25% of the time there's probably some adjustments that need to be made. As we all know, expenses in retirement are actually usually lower than that of pre-retirement. So theoretically, there are various things that you could cut out. For instance, you may just eat less in retirement. You may no longer have to travel to work. You're saving on gas money. You no longer have the impulsive gas station purchases when you're fueling up at the gas station. And maybe you give slightly less because you have less income. So likely you overall are probably spending less. So bumping this to $7,500 will show you exactly, assuming a conservative asset allocation, where you're at in terms of your overall retirement. So what can we take away from this video? Your retirement shouldn't entirely be dictated on some software or Monte Carlo simulation or comparison of what ifs. It should be individual to you. The thing that you can do to help out the most for your own retirement is gather your income, your expenses, and your investments. It doesn't need to be overly complicated to create a plan like this. Once again, guys, my name is Zach Carruthers. My goal on this channel is to empower individuals like yourself to embrace financial confidence and unlock the path to a life truly well lived. My contact information is on the next screen. As always, thank you so much. Until next time.